Yeah, we are back in the draft here, baby. Yo, beat down. So, I'm beginning to think that maybe both these teams just don't want these picks every single time, but I do like one change-up, right?
Tell me.
We're taking off the Diana,
Yeah.
and we're also taking off the Jinx, bro, especially targeted towards Surgical Shield there.
Right, and I mean, Shio did a really good job that game, and I like Aggressive Who's play on the Renekton as well. It was a really nice combination that was just setting up the rest of the team so very well on top of Crown Shot's Jhin for BDSA. So it makes sense. You want to get rid of it and just continue on forcing them on other picks. The thing is, the Jhin is still available, still safe, blindable on their side here, and the Vex, most notably, still up and good to play. No one's done anything with it.
Yeah, which is quite nice. And of course, the priority in banning Caitlyn, especially when you're not on blue side, does reign supreme. And with the Vega gone as well, we are now back to the other jungle matchup that we see consistently. If Viego, Xin Zhao, and Lee Sin are all up, that means that either one of these three will definitely be picked in the jungle, and of course, that does come through for both these teams. But it is a power pick. You were saying we haven't seen enough of it. There's that Victor matchup against potentially the LeBlanc that we saw last game as well.
I'm not so sure if I like the LeBlanc. Okay, the thing with Victor is that he's so strong at the moment, especially with the new item Crown of the Shattered Queen and the fact that it's very difficult to take him down because of it later on and how hard he scales now. That's why he's a very strong pick here. I don't like the LeBlanc because even though early on Victor doesn't have good wave clear, you should be able to get priority. You should be able to trade well. If you fall behind or even go even, I think it's probably not great. And that's why instead you're going to put Crown Shot back on the Jhin. Austin talked about it on the desk, and rightfully so. So much set up with the curtain call. Utility AD carry coming in clutch. And that's why the Jinx ban, I was like, whatever. They can just put him back on it. And I'm not even looking at my screen. I saw it on yours. Jhin Vex combination. I think this duo is so very powerful because long range setup is the name of both their games.
Bro, it's so gross.
Yeah.
It's actually disgusting considering how much they can do. And you're mentioning how Jhin is utility AD carry, but Vex just offers a ton of the utility within just her own kit and damage too. But consider, like you mentioned before, that Crown Shot has been the main setup for the team past that curtain call. So what is one way to make sure that Crown Shot does not have the easiest time setting up? Well, you get some long-range engage of your own with that Ornn.
Right.
And considering we saw how aggressive Vu like to play the Renekton, Ornn into Renekton is quite nice.
No, it's nice. You like, as you say, you do kind of stifle the Renekton pick. You make them hesitant to have to pick that up and probably go another route. But it's nice too because one, you have a good front line for whoever Asa is going to play on AD carry, and this Victor definitely needs that kind of safety to be able to do some of that long range damage, drop things like the Death Laser, the Chaos Storm and stuff like that. And also you have the ability to kind of deny that engage coming through because Vex is going to be flying in with the Lee Sin with that Shadow Surge most likely in some of these fights. And if you have your Victor being protected by this Ornn, you have a really good chance of actually keeping him alive, allowing him to kite. Of course, he has that move speed that goes in his favor as well. So anything to help him keep the Vex off him, avoid the fear, I think is great.
And more things that definitely Vex does not want to try to go into too. The same two top lane bans that we saw previously.
Yep.
Some of the biggest power picks as well. It is a dual power in the meta right now with the Camille and the Gwen. The Gwen especially has been such a priority pick for every single one of these top laners as well. On the other end, Lucian and Rakan taken now too. I especially want to point out just to the Rakan ban because we saw that Rakan as well is definitely can be a pick that we've seen Solary play off of to set up more picks between Joko and Sealback, who've been excellent at being able to do so. But Asa actually brings out the Ezreal, an ADC you have not seen, which is in fact one of Crown Shot's favorite. He is a godlike Ezreal.
Yeah, I do like the Ezreal pick, actually. I think it works out really well because you want this range damage and you want to be able to just sit back and just pelt them with damage as you start to scale up. Ezreal, the champ, he's okay in the early games, can safely farm under tower, so you can go this engage support route, roam, try and affect other lanes here, but he has that sudden spike once he hits that 2 items when Muramana is complete, where those Mystic shots do insane amounts of damage. You want a zone control here with Solary's composition, and I think that's really good because you do need ways to make space for yourself, especially with the Kennen coming through for Aggressivu, a champ he has played a lot this split, a lot last split, and has had some really good performances with. And I think it is a good thing to add because you need to kind of up the power of your hard engage. When you see the Ornn, the Xin, the ability to protect those carries on the side of Solary, you need to make it so that you can just start CCing everybody.
It can be recreated in the LFL as we head into game numero dos for y'all Spanish speakers of the day.
All right, and it's funny, we actually did end up missing the last pick. It will be the Braum, therefore, Steelback, the Ezreal Braum, which is a very safe lane. Some would call it boring. I would call it survival, doing what you have to do. And
the fittest?
Yes.
Ah.
I mean, have you seen Braum? Look at him.
Oh my God.
He's so fit. But the thing that I like about the Braum pick too is we were talking about it in the draft while it was going on. We want to see people go for these. I know what you want to talk about. Just give me a minute.
Okay.
So Steelback, picking this Braum, a lot of disengage options.
Okay.
When you think about the passive, when you think about the ultimate there, the Glacial Fissure, you want to be able to make it a little harder for BDSA's comp to go in. And I'm not sure there was a better support to pick on the last pick.
No, there is not at all, too, because you give the ultimate protection, especially
Robbie,
for this.
you don't care. Just talk about what you want to talk about.
All right. So we gonna break down just this little secret pick that with the Ornn Everfrost, bro. Okay, look, as y'all know, or maybe you don't know, I'm a top laner.
He is.
Oh, I very much am, and I proudly proclaim that ever since I started playing the game. So, with this pick of the Everfrost 2, this is really, really interesting, especially considering you have market as well. With the Ornn, considering you can build those items faster, you can now actually get those items even faster, get towards your power picks too, considering you can get Futures Market along with your passive and the slows that you can proc not only off of your Q, but your Bellows Breath, making sure to get those Biddle stacks because that's a lot of your damage, and your Q, Everfrost, Ultimate, everything that goes forward is just so nice. And if you look at it, Erudite is not running the Everfrost on the Leon either, so you cannot match it.
Right, and I think that is actually a really interesting keystone choice there for Kyo. I like it. I agree for the reasons you are pointing out there, and I think it makes for really good just gank assist as well. You get that really impactful slow. It's nice for Joko, who's going to be able to move up to the top lane and make a play if he so chooses and finds the opportunity. I mean, Kyo's going to get pushed in more than likely, so I think there will be opportunities for that to come through here. And overall, I mean, Joko Steelback, players we were highlighting and wanted to talk about, played really well recently. The synergy is there, and already we have a fight.
Okay, there we go. Remember, all you have to do is auto attack with Braum. And beautiful things like that can happen really while set up play too. We were mentioning a lot of the synergy between Joko and Steelback and comes to fruition.
Yeah, really nice play there. That is the nice thing with the Ezreal Braum. You have a lot of ways to stack that can cut some blows, and Joko just comes in to finish it up. Both summoners blown by Crown Shot, and this kill still ends up going through. And this is great because now Asa starts to get a lead in this lane where usually you'd expect to get pushed just a little bit. Well, now this turns things around. Really nice early gank from Joko, and this is what I want to see when people are playing Xin Zhao. Like immediately, you have an opening, 3 camps, let's gank. That's how you do it.
Of course, bro, because you want to try to take advantage of every single thing and possible timer that you can get.
Yep.
I am also surprised that as a gym player, Crown Shot decided to take heal instead of the cleanse, with especially against his team. So that's a little bit interesting on my end, but nonetheless, right? It's sadly he will have to pay for that because if he had cleansed it, he lives.
I mean, I think the idea is you want heal for the early laning phase since it's nicer early, and the way he's going to be standing in the background, I think there isn't going to be as much people on top of him. I mean, cleanse isn't great for knockup, so you think about Ornald, you think about his knockup and Braum ultimate, there isn't going to get as much value in these team fights. So I think that was an early lane pick.
Yeah, I mean, you know what, fair enough. You're right, though. Considering Crown Shot wants to make sure that, he survives through the early game, make sure to push the Ezreal in as much as possible for as long as possible.
Yeah.
But you picked this Ezreal game, you picked this Ezreal lane for one reason, right? You want to leave a weak side to farm under tower, and you want to steal back to your roaming or not. Trying to set up as many things as possible, which you should be seeing. And it's already happening. But Steelback is already chilling in the jungle, setting up wards, and then now setting a priority around Dragon 2, and a very early one, in fact, as it spawns in another 10 seconds.
Right, I mean, these two players, Joko, Steelback, been playing together for so long, and it shows with how coordinated they are. Jungle and support is definitely a role I would like a lot of synergy synergy if I was putting the team together. So it's really nice for Solary, although they have kept most of their members except for Kyo. So the synergy across the board is very much showing here. And now as time goes on, we're going to see how well Kyo fits into this equation.
And I do like that you brought the point about Kyo too, because considering where they picked him up to, I find that he's had not too bad of a season, especially with his time over in other regions in the EU. But one big thing about him in terms of his playstyle and why I find he fits so well is that he's a very self-sufficient top laner. You know, he likes to pick up picks just to make sure that he can survive within lane. You know, picks up the Ornn. I've even seen anything like the Vladimir previously. Right, just wants to make sure that he survives and he doesn't manage to become a detriment, but can continue to team fights as we get down to the 14-minute timer. But
we got
right at the 5-minute timer right now, they're setting up a fight. The Ignite already goes down between them. As we're just gonna come back to us for just a couple of seconds. So fear not, friends, as we just get things fixed on over. You get to see our beautiful faces once more, well, at least beatdowns, right? As we just talk about a little bit about that Dragon setup.
Yeah, I mean, I think it looked like they might have gone for a fight back and forth again, and we are going to jump back into this one. Doesn't seem like a fight has actually come through here. Nope, no kills. So it is just going to end up being BDSA who ends up securing the dragon, which is interesting. I thought Solary had the strength to potentially go for a fight, but I think chances were Zico was already on the move, Shadow Surge was available, and that could have been very detrimental. Because again, we did highlight it, even though you did get ahead on Aza early on. Overall, Solary's comp looking for skirmishing early on is not what they want to be doing, so you want to give Scarlet that chance to just get as much gold as he can from first strike, from farming, so that he can try and get those Hex Core upgrades. Then he's going to be that menace they're looking for.
Yeah. And also considering one of the points too, you were mentioning a bit about the mid priority too. I also wanted to point out that one thing that Joko actually took a fair bit of damage right in the early engage as we're setting up, and also Erdo put out the Ignite onto him too. So he was already at about a quarter of health, and considering Zyko was level 6, you know, he's at the risk of dying, and you don't want to say trade your jungler for maybe just one more pick or support this early on, because Joko already has his lead, and he wants to capitalize on it as much as possible. So giving with First Dragon, not a bad trade at all, but within this time, Shio has decided to farm up a little bit more and try to catch up a little bit in camps, if anything.
Yeah, at the moment, if you look CS, despite the early kill, Aza is actually down about 10 CS, but he has a wave to pick up, so it's probably going to even out. It is big for BDSA, because they have this a lot of perceived early game power that they managed to get the first dragon. If they can continue to do this, see you have after the reset, Urdote's moving up to the top side, is going to set himself up for the Rift Herald to help out his jungle and mid laner, because again, Zico's just had so much control here. You go to imagine this is going to be an easy pickup, and what I like about it is you can try and make a play, potentially set up a dive on Scarlet. He isn't still too strong at the moment here. If you manage to successfully do so off of Vex Sphere, for example, you can drop the Rift Herald, a lot of plates go down, maybe in the first turn.
Yeah, exactly. Especially considering the flash is still up for him too. So at least forcing that off of him will make sure that he plays a little more safely. There will be a lot more players stepping up in lane, and has to be a lot more careful as to where Zico's setting up, considering they know that both Shio and Zico can come from almost anywhere in weird off angles with at least in Q. Because we can trying to get first turrets though. Still back in Aza. Managed to push his lane in with a pretty decent wave from here. So they'll get at least one plate out of it. A little bit more gold into Aza's pocket, which, as you're mentioning, you definitely do want if you are on the side of Solary, because the stronger he gets, getting up to that 2-item mark is that pinpoint for this team, because then their team fights become disgusting, and by the time then Scarlet will have also become very, very strong on this end, as the supports are just about to hit level 6, so we gotta pay attention to that too. Right, getting access to some really key ultimates there for the supports, being able to, so that's why I imagine we're going to see a lot of plays coming through pretty soon, as already Steelback and Urdote have been moving around the map, trying to make things happen. Steelback a little bit less, but now, off of this previous reset, he is moving around with Joko in that bottom side jungle, but because Rift Herald was never an option, it wasn't really worth for him moving up to that top side of the map. So, things are just back to slowing down, like most of the games we've had so far today and yesterday, as nobody is really going to look for anything. I am surprised though, because Shio, already a quarter of the cooldown on that Herald has gone down. I'm gonna see if maybe they try and set it up. Maybe mid is still the option. I mean, look at Zico. He's just very quietly just tenderizing Scarlet. Yeah, they're just trading waves between these two with this. What I wanted to see out of Kyo. You consider he is at a poke lane as well, but he managed to set up the QEW. Those Biddle stacks do hurt so much. each other Everfrost that play there as well. Talking before, if Q manages to get in, just that one slow, can just do so much more. Or now though, as you were mentioning, within this team, we've seen this out of BDS yesterday too. They're not a team that wants to try to take unnecessary fights just to extend their goal lead. They play very much around objectives. And I find this is a style of the team as well. Ever since they've had Crowny come in, you've seen how the team has shifted up to being a lot more objective-based, which we've seen so far in the first game as well.
Well, at the moment, looking like Shio finally has decided where he wants to drop this Herald. But you can see it already. Joko is actually in the area on the Krugs. Does need to be careful about this play coming through. But Zico is already on the move as well. So maybe they think they can find an opening, or maybe the bait is so that they can try and catch Scarlet in his own jungle.
That's a really nice vision setup from them as well. So BDSA know exactly right on that edge corner they will manage to dodge any of the wards, possibly spotting them out. And at least with this, they do manage to gain Dragon Vision, considering it is up right now. And to continue to stack dragons for themselves, that's another way many of these teams have done, and Wasi won the game. But so the Braum is there, the Forgotten Call will come towards no fruition, but the cleanse off of Azza is quite nice and gives the Braum life.
Immediately you get that pressure, you get that wave shove, then you move in. Joko looks like he wants to do something.
I mean, he does do something. At least he knocks me one person as Zico also has to try to run away. As Dragon taking over, Zico does a fair bit of damage, but he's locked inside the Dragon Pit. Erudite will die, but the Martyr for his team.
The kill does go to Steelback though, so it is a little unlucky in terms of you probably want that gold going into other places, but I like the attempt from Solary. Try to catch them after the dragon comes through, but not in time to actually go for the steal, and that's 2 dragons apiece for BDSA, as now we do have our, so I think that is the Mountain Rift we're on.
Yes, sir, you are exactly correct, my friend, but I believe Shio is a mountain of a man himself, so he gets the solo bolo on Azza.
Really nice, and he actually still has the Rift Herald, so he's just gonna go for that Empowered Rift Call. It's gotta be running out of time soon. So maybe there's somewhere they could try and drop in and just pick up some extra gold. But overall, in terms of gold, now that we mention it, things are pretty even so far. I think like 200 in favor of Solary, which is basically nothing to work with here. And yep, there it is. A little awkward timing for the Rift Herald. It is coming through in the mid lane, but I mean, there's still technically the opportunity if you want to go for the dive. It's just extremely telegraphed in Solary. You got to imagine they know. I mean, they're already on the move.
Because I would have thought they might have tried to possibly put that bot side as well. You know, maybe put Crown Shot top and get priority over the second Rift, but as it gets slows down, it'll actually still get the charge off too. So that's quite nice. Get a couple of plates over the 2 members of the team of BDSA. So I think they'll take that in stride and not only puts the roaming power of Zico ever so close.
Yeah, now it's worth noting we're getting to this point where Solary are really starting to come online in some of their main damage dealing carries. I mean, Scarlet, you're starting to see some of those Hex Core upgrades come through. He has the Crown of the Shattered Queen already built, so now, especially once he gets access to that level 11 ulti, he's going to be in a really good spot to potentially go for some fights. So far, top lane has been an island. Of course, you can thank the TP changes for most of that. And that means that pretty soon, though, in 30 seconds, one aggressive who held onto his TP all this time, so he might actually be able to make a cross-map play very soon. We're going to see the first life in those.
Yeah, because the call is also up too as well, so that'll be a nice little cash prize that you can cash in on, try to take back and get a little bit more damage in his back pocket. Like you were mentioning, already the one item of that rocket belt, so even more options to engage and flash up from as well. So the overall possibilities are endless. Frost next trade. Zico comes on top of that one, but Win does not become lightning for now as Zico manages to stay stage because they knew that he could walk back under tower, but 3 people mid lane as he set up around second of Herald.
Right, the scuttle's there, so they're gonna know on the side of BDSA, but nothing can be really done about it. They do rotate the bot lane first, so it should be there for Solary, but Aggressive is the one who's gonna be starting it off here, so I'm not really sure. You do have the information, so I think we might just see a fight in this mid lane. We might see them move in as aggressively. Yeah, he's by himself.
Yeah, he gets pushed back. Like you were saying, he was kind of just soloing this bot, like essentially one after the other, but possibly waiting to see if maybe mid-prior might have done something. But as he gets forced off, we saw Zico as well, just about half health. So BDSA decided this fight is not worth it. They'll give over the second Rift.
And then realistically, It's okay. It's not as big a deal. No plates for you to win for yourself. Now you can just focus on setting up more plays. You do use the Solar Flare. It's got a short enough cooldown that it's not a big deal. 1 minute 30 seconds means you can keep Aggressive-Wu in the top lane, even though Aza and Steelback are still up there, and then just hold on to that teleport for that dragon fight if you so choose, because we got dragon coming up soon. That's what you want if you're BDSA. That will be your sole point, and it will be a very early one, all things considered, compared to the games we had yesterday.
Exactly, yeah, because we don't see teams usually take dragon until the first 9 to 10 minutes of the game too, which is why we had so many of these 35, 40-minute games where teams didn't play around the dragon timer, as that becomes one of the main winning conditions for many of these compositions. Like you mentioned before, though, 50 seconds left until the Infernal Dragon spawns in. Right now for BDSA, I imagine this should be a decently high priority, because on the other end for Solary and for the teams we've seen consistently, give it the first two and they decide to fight over Soul Point. So almost just cornering themselves into a fight they might not want to take, as Joker gets taken out right now. Shadow Stone doesn't actually land, but if we're going for this execute, almost a solo ball, but Zico's also there for the follow-up. Joker stays alive, one more bullet as he barely bounces out of range.
He's low.
There as well, and the top laner gone, and Scarlet is forced away by Soul Arm.
Oh, there's the ulti.
The ultimate from the cannon, and he stands onto 2. They get the ADC, that's all they will need.
Man, that is not the fight you're looking for if you are Solary, but I like this one. You keep Kennen in the top lane, because he's going to be the one to have that big impact once he joins the TP. Overall, Shio is able to go and almost take Joko on his solo, and that means it's going to be very easy for them to get control over this part of the map. Yeah, you get some good trades for Scarlet at the mid lane, but it doesn't matter. BDSA, Infernal Soul Point, a Dragon Soul that adds a lot of burst damage to, I mean, look at these champions. This is already so much burst there. That Soul will just complement this composition so very well.
Yeah. And continue to do so too. Look at the high damage output like you were mentioning. Considering Shio is just such a Chad, it's going to continue to take more and more of these fights, especially as he continues to stack up more of these Inferno as well. And now, they've set a timer on just this entire game, because Solary are now forced even more to fight around that 4th dragon. So if they don't manage to pick up any more picks around the 2 to 1 minute mark within the next 30 minutes, then suddenly BDSA is looking A-okay.
Yeah, you can see it. Again, you got the bot lanes rotating up to this top side of the map. Then not a whole lot going too well for Solary at the moment here. Now they find themselves down 2,000 gold. You might be able to get a turret down with the Rift Herald you're holding onto, and with every outer turret still standing there in the tier 1, you might, that's a lot of gold you could earn for yourself that's just very accessible. But it's tough, because for the most part, you rarely have this mid wave pushed in. Now you have mid and support committed to it. Your jungler is coming through, but you gotta be very careful.
Try to snap up to this either, and the chooses give away the plates. I think they actually did get the goal right as the plates dropped as well. So, but just a couple seconds on time, so not necessarily a bad trade, but you can't necessarily see that either. But nonetheless, at least like you're saying, with both mid turrets essentially just set up are the exact same health. Both mid laners that they can, they can continue trading. And with that many people already mid, I can't imagine they choose to commit the same amount again with how strong Zico is, and will continue to get. He has a stopwatch too, so for all those commitments that he chooses to try to take, he'll have a bit more safety and priority. But they're still chilling with the setup. The Scarlet is not topside, so they want to give him more solo gold.
Yeah, and any gold he can earn from himself is nice. Problem is, he's not exactly solo right now, Robbie. Most of BDS are on him.
Yep, and considering the pop crowd, we were mentioning how it's a good item, but once it is popped, you unfortunately do take a lot of blunt force damage. But at least with this, with them rotating topside too, Aza can choose to capitalize on this, and he'll be the one to pick up turn goal for himself. That's gonna be quite nice. You were mentioning consistently throughout the game that you want this Ezreal to stack up as much gold as possible, and he also has a fully stacked Amura mana too. So this is where the Mystic Shards start really chunking you.
Yeah, and this is an interesting one. He does go for the Essence Reaver, which was pretty popular last season, but most people end up going for either the Sunder or the Trinity Force. Still has Sheen, so it's still gonna hurt at 2 items. I think this is probably, actually this might be where he still goes Trinity 4. No, it still has the Sheen proc, so I'm guessing he's gonna go Duskblade which is a build we haven't seen in quite a while, but it is nice in these team fights where a lot of people, they're going to be looking for him, so that bit of invisibility would be pretty helpful.
As long as you don't buy Crown, I'm fine.
Well, we'll see. It's technically not out of the question.
I mean, like, I would understand it, I get it, but as I would hold just a slight bit of contempt for you if you did.
Just the slightest?
Just the slightest.
Not a lot.
Not a lot. Not a
Are
lot.
you sure?
I mean, like, doesn't need to overplay it. It's
I mean, in the beginning, you were pretty upset. That's why I'm just making sure.
I'm just saying, I could be just playing things up here, but not necessarily because I don't know. As like you don't know me, but if you hit me on Twitter DMs, I'm sure we can be friends or we can talk about it. You could be a better player and maybe be strong side, top side sometimes. As Joko can be a strong side himself, forces the flash out. That's Orn out as well. As when the next minute, it should be just barely in time for them to set up around this soul point.
And as you can see now, Solary do have objective bounties available to them. If they manage to get this dragon, it's not only going to be denying the dragon soul, but of course you will get some bonus goals globally for the rest of your team. And again, still, a lot of tier 1s still up for the side of BDSA. There's a lot of gold that they can grab for themselves here. Just so far, they seem like they have been struggling. Every time they try and commit someone to a side lane, immediately BDSA, they're okay with overcommitting or forcing with a lot of extra members there. And it's how they've been picking up kill after kill. I mean, this comp is meant to fight together. So they're pretty comfortable with minimal side laning, lots of A-ramming.
I was going to say, too, perhaps, maybe they might have said aggressive with the opposite to push that wave in because he has TP, but they really go on to air that he has to heal away. So I saw a health chunk back up. But I guess he was looking for the angle. He does have the Rocky Bell too. And flash on him as grouped up as 5. But look at Chio. He has the flank and he can go in onto 1. Looking for the Q. He gets the stun off, but immediately Kyo gets out. Fine for now, they go to the shield yet again. As he engages onto 1, Shield's caught up alone. He's gonna be stunned. That's a juggler dead. He was far too deep. He watched the wall, but they still commit onto him. He's gone and donezo. That's so unfortunate. Considering he was just caught there, no support, and they now have to give this up.
No, that's a pretty big deal here. Solary managed to deny the soul like we were expecting, and there it is. That extra gold with the objective bounty is nice. Oh, Robbie, they are not done.
Now, once again, the other mobile carries too. BDSA want to try to get away, but at least they have somebody with them who can ensure their escape. Shield was not so lucky, but hey, look at aggressive move, finding a pick.
Yeah, that one is really nice, hiding out in fog, just trying to see if he can avoid Joko, and he does, while also securing himself a kill. So that, kind of the best of a bad situation there for BDSA. They still have a strong gold lead. We are looking at about 3,000. As you see, aggressive, he's just moving to this bottom side to shove this next wave. Somebody is going to have to answer it, and I wonder if they could go for the reset. They could move to try and set up for Baron, because pretty soon, a lot of those key team fight ultimates will be available. When you're this far ahead, BDSA, they could just look for the big objective.
Speaking of big objective right now, Baron likely to be the next target for both of these teams, because we're hitting around that mark where 23 minutes, they're all very, very strong. And if Eddie would have tried to snake it, would not necessarily be very optimal, especially for the side of BDSA, because their drag, because their Baron take, not very fast. They have burst, but it's a Jhin, it's a Vex, it's a Cannon, so it would take quite a bit of time. But I do want to point out one specific thing, previously speaking of the Cannon too. In that previous fight, I definitely do think that they should look to put aggressive Fu on the flank angle instead of Shio. I understand the kick is a really powerful tool of taking Joko on the fight, but if they use that TP to their advantage with just better set up wards, then I think they can take that 5v5 very handily.
This is something they could look to do later on, especially with how much advantages they have in every lane. They constantly have lanes pushing in their favor, and it takes multiple members of Solary to be able to safely try and manage some of their side waves, just because of the fact that you don't have your vision line pushed up very much, and that means BDSA could collapse on anybody like they did on Scarlet minutes ago. Now, because of that overcommitment though, you have Aggressive being able to just take this tier 2. You see Kyo, who is backing, but I don't think he's going to be actually stopping this turret from going down. What that means is if a fight breaks out, that flanking teleport that you're talking about could very well be an option here if they actually want to commit.
Yeah, because both Aggressive and Kyo, like you're saying, they both have TP as nice little bounty as well for them to manage to pick themselves up. Like, nice to like 100 or so gold across the entire team, so not a bad pickup for themselves, but both of them continue to fight around this mid priority, and if any of them do match get the tier 2, especially on the side of Solary, then that would be a massive pickup for themselves as they continue to try to get back in the game. Only about, just 4K down, so around 3K I should say. So not necessarily completely out of it, but definitely BDSA do hold a fair amount of the cards. And as long as Solary keeps denying these dragons, they can continue to extend the game, which I'm sure they want to do.
That's the question. Can they actually do that? They would have to be able to find. I think that's why they're spending a lot of their time trying to push out this bot wave. This mid wave, excuse me, kind of letting this bot wave be pushed in as far as it can, because they still have 2 minutes till this dragon actually comes up. So they're hoping that if they can catch somebody out, I mean, Scarlet is very strong right now, getting closer to 3 items. And like Victor, this is where Victor really starts to pop off, do a lot of damage here. So if you find the right team fight, Steelback, Keo still have a lot of very good ultimates that can facilitate all this damage for Solary.
Yeah.
Maybe this is how they manage to get themselves a Baron. And you have it, a lot of them are in this top side. They could threaten aggressive if he does push too far, but I mean, he knows better than that. They're all off the map. He's just going to recall.
Yeah, too, and I believe we also did see the vision toggle there as well. Considering both vision wards that they have set up are also matched by the other team, but now Shield only matches take 1, and a second ward that should be expiring as well. But I want to pay attention a little bit to that backside towards the blue side jungle. You see from BDSA, as there are 2 nice pink wards that can be used for fights by either Keo or Aggressive Root if they choose to take it for a potential fight that we had mentioned require a fair bit.
Yeah, and you said the vision game is good here. Aggressive, he's already starting to path that way around the bottom side of the map. And because the vision is clear, he could go for the sneak here. We're a minute off of this dragon, and we're in this situation. Are Solary going to look to try and trade the Baron for the Dragon's Soul? I don't know if that one is going to be worth it, since it's going to be so very strong on Team BDSA.
Yeah.
But I think at this point, just because they're standing on the top side, they have that mid-wave push. Will someone actually go to clear it? And it's looking like Zico will. This is a pretty big deal because Solary gets to get into this river first, and Keo knows Lisa's not going in on that Q, so he's perfectly safe at this time. They're clearing wards, they are setting themselves up, but they don't know where Aggressive is.
I was going to say, this is really interesting. So you were right, Ezreal did build Crown, but I've seen that BDSA have been doing this dance to try to pop these as much as possible.
Yeah, oh, so much damage.
Orno, like you were seeing, Crown trying to take a bunch of damage right in the front, but a little bit too far up, has to get forcefully Destination Fissure down as well. So no real disengage ult to come out aggressively yet again on that flank side, which we expected him to be. Mentioning Solary needs to deny this dragon. A lot of tools have already been used.
Aggressive, who still has ult, he still has flash, so he could find a really big angle, but Scarlet is looking for him, so this is a big deal that he holds him off.
In already, Boosty Irda's already gone. Eza has a crown popped either. That's a support gone. Now Solary have gained priority over this dragon yet again. Too much pop early, and they just cannot seem to get onto the carries of Solary. BDSA have to fight it very carefully.
Oh, they got him!
No, Aggressive Boo! Caught out of shield was previously. Yet again, no support, no flank. Caught on vision.
Man, this is a big deal. Shield could potentially go for the steal if he so wants, but they're walking away from this one. I think he's going to have to let this one go here. But
yeah, he pushes.
He steals it!
Let's go, Shio! Oh, and he does just so much more. Zico was ultimately the distraction. They were thinking that maybe with the Q, he might have been able to do it. And now with Infernal Soul, Zico is feeling himself. He wants to try to get an assassination onto the K, but he cannot do so as it walks away, but scared.
Man, I think that is such a big deal that BDSA managed to, even when they end up losing out, they still walk away with something positive. Clutch play from Shio, and I hope we see the replay, because you still got to give so much credit to Solary for how they managed to play that, from how they managed to get that mid-wave priority, time themselves so they get in the river right before that dragon, and the fight means that Scarlet, he sniffs out Aggressive and just keeps him at bay. This is what I mean when I say Victor is so strong. He chunks him down. He's just keeping him at bay, and there was no chance for that slicing maelstrom to go through. And this is kind of what I was expecting from Solary. Again, it's just about making BDSA hesitate, making sure you can't let them play the comp the way they want to, and a lot of that is putting pressure on Aggressive.
But now, with this Infernal Soul here, the beatdown, like, Aggressive doesn't even care if he dies because he still has Eco. Crown Shot is with him.
Yeah.
He can pop so many people because every single shot now from Crowny hurts so much because he has the IE and he has Rapid Fire Cannon. So not even the first shot, but just the second will hurt as much as the first, maybe even more so.
Oh, critical.
There we go. That's his first shot already put out. shot at counter Crowny, as Shield tries to get away. They're going to re-engage. They find it.
They're going for a big fear.
Get one more. That's so many stunned down. There we go. Electricity reigns supreme. It's a
Watch Scarlet. Watch Scarlet.
On top of Solary, but look at him. He's going to go in. He slash Crown on him. The turn. The re-engage. Az has to get one more kill, but oh, the laser on the back end as he gets pinpointed and blown up. Zico gone.
Late game victor. He's so very strong. Scarlet finished the death cap. We're seeing the teleport come from Kyo, who managed to walk away from this fight. This could be Solari's way back into the game. Shio, does he have another miracle steal in him? He's going to have to, because this is how Solary suddenly potentially find themselves in a winning scenario.
Crasha's still alive as well, so he can potentially get it with a W and a fourth shot. The massive flash over the wall with flash shot up and start neither the Shios too. He still has smite.
Oh my God.
Engage that infernal soul does disgusting amounts of damage.
Scarlet, he's here, he does so much damage.
Look at the Q, he's got the speed up as I want to chase this down, but they're locked inside the alcove. This alcove might not be great, but they get the knock up on the back and Joko goes in. He gets pushed back immediately, but Shio is completely might be dead. Stopwatch wanna save him. The safeguard. Oh, but it's just not far enough. Oh,
and the damage, Scarlet, he's just walking them down no matter what BDSA kind of do. This is it. Infernal Soul or not, as long as Scarlet has the front line, as long as he's not under threat of being heavily CC'd, he's going to rip BDSA to shreds. And even though the Baron is not secure, look at the gold lead. It's tied up now, just short of 900 gold in favor of BDSA, but that doesn't matter anymore unless they find some way to take down Scarlet immediately in these fights. They will lose it out.
It is not over till the big boy sings. I do not have the pipes for that right now, so I won't start to break out into song. So this fight and this game will continue on going, which I'm generally all for. We get another banger to continue off the day, which is exactly what I wanted to see from these teams. I was thinking, yo, BDSA, the more macro, slow style. Nah. No more dragons to be taken. We talk about Elder, we talk about Baron, and both these teams want to set up in a great little build call game too, mind you.
Yeah, that's the crazy thing. Like, it's just been a lot of map play and not as much fighting. It's just been small picks, and then the team who ended up losing limps away. But now, BDSA still in a strong position, keep in mind. But the scaling that we talked about on Solary's side, the burst damage that they offer, even without that Infernal Soul, cannot be understated. And you can see what it looks like when Kyo starts slowing people down, when Steelback starts slowing people down. As long as you can just play interference and allow Aza and Scarlet to just put out all the DPS they can offer, it is just a beautiful thing. And now, speaking of DPS, Aggressivu, he's in trouble.
Oh.
Maybe he's not.
That was
There's still 5 people.
Q, but like you're saying, he's caught right in the middle of 3, but it might not necessarily matter. That's so much damage, and he's just out of range. But Crash can probably try to get one more.
Big kill.
To be big, but they get 2 down immediately. He's alive. Joko should be dead from this too, but they continue trading.
Really nice.
Still alive as well. They get the stun, but no, Kyo cannot run away, but Scarlet has to be the target. There's 3 down on both ends. Aggressivu! Although he dies, he gives up his life, but Shio, Crunch, Air Dive, go towards the Baron.
I think they know they have to end this one soon. Scarlet is getting really, really powerful, and they're not going to get many opportunities like this one. Scarlet, he is recalling, but he might TP back in. He's going to TP to the mid lane. Maybe him and Kyo can do something about it, because you pointed it out earlier, the Baron take, not very good, not very quick on BDSA's side, and look at Scarlet, he's level 17, he's so strong.
He just does so much damage, but it might just be a potential flex.
Still no Joko.
Chunky it down. He does not have Lightning Storm either, so he cannot try to contest this. If he had the ultimate up, it might have been theirs, but no, it's just not enough. He realized he was just starting the Baron and damaging him more for them.
Man, and it is such good timing. They get the recall. Everyone's back on the map for BDSA, and look what's coming up in 30 seconds, Robbie. It's going to be the Elder Dragon. Aggressivu is going to have Flash very, very soon, but he still hasn't completed the Zanyas. He still has a big opportunity to make the play with this Slicing Maelstrom of Robbie. When I say it has to be big, Aggressivu has to go huge.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you join me as we enter closer into your chair, the final 5 territory.
Oh, that's a big Ornwarn!
That's knocked up onto 3 already as they go in, but the Solar Flare counters it. They slow down a little bit more.
That's 1.
Zico, he gets Everfrost, and now they're all in. No Lightning Storm. He's looking
for the kick on the
Scarlet! 3! Lantern Option! Cascase! BDSA! As they get 2 more, they run them down. Solary on the run for the Hail of a Shield. Surgical Shield. Has got 1 more. Looking for the Penta. Penta.
There it is!
Gets it. It's gone. Aggressive with a pentakill.
Shield wins the game for BDSA. He gets the insect onto Scarlet, the strongest member of Solary. They end up taking him down, and they win it off Aggressive Oo's pentakill. Insane game from BDSA.
My God. I hope you all were leaning forward in your chairs because you could see that even more clearly. We were saying it consistently, Aggressive Ooh decides he will aggressive you, bro.